Alright, so the second question I was going to look at is a Venn diagram question. And as you guys know, I mean, the most of this unit is going to be the basics of set theory. So what we did in the last question, obviously that's not all of it, but things like that. And then the other half of the unit was basically Venn diagrams. Games is a part of the unit, but I'm not going to focus on that here. So I'm going to do a question here with Venn diagrams. If you read through it here, it basically gives you in the problem, we're dealing with a high school starting a campaign for transportation, and they want to figure out how many students are using green transportation. So basically, of the three, cycling and walking, they don't use gas. So we need to figure out how many people are using that. We're given all these statements with and or, again, unions and intersections, and basically we need to fill in the Venn diagram we have here and use the information to answer the problem. Most of the Venn diagrams are going to be connected like this. Why do I have three circles? Well, there's public transit. I'm going to call it PT, call it whatever you want. The other thing we have here is cycling. I'm going to call it a C. And the last one's walking. I'm going to call it a W. So we have those three. That's why I have three circles. There is overlap. Doesn't necessarily have to be every time, but most of the problems we see will have overlap. And realistically, what they're looking for is the number of students in cycling and walking. Okay, so let's go through and do that. What I said is a general idea for these Venn diagram problems is you want to work your way from the inside out. So we really want to start with this. If you don't have the middle, I told you guys that it's one of those special problems where you need to use a variable. I showed you how to do that, but we're not dealing with that here, because if you go through the list, this center part here means public transit, cycling, and walking, but we're given that, and it is, where is it on the list? 20 students walk, cycle, and use public transit. So that dot there with the 20, that is the intersection of all the groups. So the center is 20. We want to work our way out from there. So what you want to do then is you want to find one of the statements that has and in it. So if you go down and you look at 100 students cycle and use public transit, that means cycle and public transit is going to be the intersection between the C circle and the PT circle, meaning this part in here, that's our cycling and public transit. And it tells us in the problem that that is 100. 20 is already used. There's already 20 people that take all three. So of that 100 allocated here, you need to subtract 20, leaving only 80 people that take public transit and cycling, but don't walk. So that's that 80. You can see that this totals to 100. We're just going to repeat that for these two as well. So if you go down the list there's another one that says 80 students walk and use public transit. So that's this region in here. The intersection between the walk circle and the public transit circle is this in here. And that's an 80, meaning that this here is going to be a 60. Same thing can be used here for this one here. It tells us that there's 35 students for walking and cycling. 20 is used, so we've only got 15 left over for this. All right. So we've filled in the middle. Now to fill in the stuff on the edges, you need to use your, well, whatever you're given. In this case, the easiest one is they tell us 370 students use public transit. Okay, what that number means is everything in the public transit circle adds up to 370. So everything in here is 370. So if I shade that in, that whole thing is 370. All right, so get out your calculator. Go, I'll do that down below here. Go 370, subtract out the 60, subtract out the 20, subtract out the 80, and whatever's left over has to go up here to finish the circle. So if you subtract all those, you're going to get 210. Okay? What that means is this is the remaining people that just use public transit that don't use any of the other types. All right, and now we can go, we need to fill in these two circles as well. These ones are actually a bit harder. If you look down in one of the last statements you're given, 445 students cycle or use public transit. So that is going to be cycle or public transit. Means anything in this circle, anything in the public transit circle, or anything in the cycling circle. So what that last statement's telling you is these two full circles all together add up to 445. So now what you can do is you can go, all right, 445 minus 210 minus 60 minus 20 minus 80 minus 15 will be whatever's left over for the outside of this circle here. Okay? And for that you're going to get 60. Okay? So this outside part, the people that just cycle, is 60. If you use a similar approach with the last statement there that you have available, you're going to find that 30 people walk alone. Okay? So we've done all the hard work. We filled in our Venn diagram, again, going from the middle out. And the last part is we need to figure out, all right, how many people use green transportation? Well, that's the people that are walking or cycling. So really, we need to find, that's all these people or all these people. It depends how, if you think about it here, it depends how the question's worded. What I would do then is to find the people that walk or cycle, go 60 plus 20 plus 15 plus 30 plus 80 plus 60. So add up everything in these two walk and cycle circles. If you do that, you get 265. So 265 are the number of people that walk and cycle. But if you really wanted to get specific, of that group, there are these 20 people here that they're using public transit a bit, so they're using gas. So they're not totally green. And there's these 80 guys here that are, they're using some gas as well. Same with these 60. So depending on how it was worded, I'd say the answer is 265 for people that are using green transportation. And then your real green guys, your real transportation hippies, are your 30, 15, and 60. They are not using any gas at all. So the people not using any gas at all is 105. Okay? So I hope that helps. Between the two problems we've done, that's the majority of this unit. Again, look over your notes for the one that requires a variable in the middle, if you don't have that center overlap. And see me if you've got any questions. Thanks for watching.